we're going to record.
So you came up with 3 books?
I came up with some books, but we can, okay, here, I'm going to do that here. I'm going to put a poll up on the screen.
Okay.
And these are the books that I had originally come up with for the Halloween theme for October. But if we don't like any of these, we can somebody else can pick something. Because at this point, I've hated every book we've done so far. And at this point, we got to either, we got to do a better job, or we're going to have one person pick, so at least we have someone to blame.
Yeah, I stumbled upon something that was something to do with Paradise and Scary Movie. I'll see if I can find that again.
All right, I'm going to put the poll up.
Okay.
Oh boy. I haven't heard.
Never heard of any of them.
Oh, Turn the Screw. Well, that's a classic.
Yeah, these are, I made sure they're all on, either in the libraries. Like, my library is terrible, so if my library has it, every library is going to have it pretty much. But but these are not set in stone, though. This is just if anything jumps out at you. These are like, I just wanted like some sort of a ghost story or something. But and my mom voted for The Night Strangers.
I was going to say The Night Strangers.
I've read The Night Strangers, but
oh, you have already?
Yeah, but I read it years ago. But I would read it again.
Night Strangers.
I'm good with whatever.
But I don't care. But part of me I would love to read The Woman in White, but it's very long, and I don't think
it is. It's
a little long for
Lincoln and the Bardo by George.
I don't. I went online and did a search for It's anonymous, so choose whatever you want. But I think for ghost stories or whatever. I don't remember. I did it back in like June, so I don't remember. We don't have to go with any of these. We can choose something else, but this is just a launching point. But we have to pick it. We deserve to pick instead of having everybody else pick for us.
Do you want me to read the what Amazon says about some of them?
Good idea.
Yeah, if you want.
I'm right.
So Night Stranger says, in a dusty corner of a basement in a rambling Victorian house in northern New Hampshire, a door has been long sealed shut with 39 6-inch long carriage bolts. The home new owners, Chip and Emily Linton, and their twin 10-year-old daughters, together, they hope to rebuild their lives there after Chip, an airline pilot, has to ditch a 70-seat regional jet in Lake Champlain due to double engine failure. The body count 39. What follow? This isn't written very well. What follow is a riveting ghost story with all the hallmark readers have come to expect from best-selling award-winning novelist Chris, whatever his last name is.
Yeah, I read this one a few years back. I didn't find it so scary that I couldn't sleep, but I remember there was one moment in it where I was sitting there on the couch reading it, and Brian came in the door, and I jumped out of my because I guess it was like, so it was pretty. Chris Magellan, he's one of my favorite writers, but
I'm looking up Lincoln and the Bardo.
I don't remember what that was. Yeah, but yeah, I think the bottom line of that one was there was this guy who was a pilot. He crashed the plane, and then he's living in this house, and it basically seems haunted, and he's starting to think it's the people from the plane. I think that's what it was about, but I don't know about the rest of them.
Well, Lincoln and the Bardo has a higher rating than the other one, The Night Strangers. So,
what everybody wants, unless somebody has an idea that that's in your head that you want to read.
Yeah, this is, of course, back in the Civil War. The Civil War is less than 1 year old. The fighting has begun in earnest, and the nation has begun to realize it is for a long bloody battle. Meanwhile, President Lincoln's beloved 11-year-old son, Willie, lies upstairs in the White House, gravely ill. In a matter of days, despite predictions of recovery, Willie dies and is laid to rest. I don't know. Lincoln in the Bardo is an astonishing feat of imagination and a bold step forward from one of the most important and influential writers of his generation, George Saunders.
Let's go with that one.
That's different.
Whatever you guys will vote. It's anonymous. Vote on the poll.
Ah,
All right.
Oh, you and I can't do it then.
Well,
Well, one of you
what do
can
want me to
say.
do?
One of you will have to not be anonymous.
What am I doing?
I don't know, whatever you want. Did you
The
want
one-
this one?
I can't vote at all, so apparently.
What's that?
The Ghost Bride.
I'm gonna go with something out of the blue. I don't even know what I'm.
We're gonna have a three-way tie. I'll go with Night Strangers.
So you're gonna have like 4 different.
Four-way.
Before, well, does it jump up? Does it pop back? Oh, okay, it does. I have to press it again. Okay. Well, that's only, who didn't vote?
Debbie didn't vote.
Well, then say your vote.
I did, Night Strangers.
Okay, because my mother, well then two, yeah, my mother and you for Night Strangers.
Yeah, let's do that one.
What are the other ones?
I'm fine with that.
And we have one for Ghost Bride, one for Lincoln in the Bardo, and one for Woman in White.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I can't vote. I don't think I can vote. No, I can't vote. So, which is fine with me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So which
pick
one?
You and Judge Mom did.
Well, that had the most votes, right?
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
two by one.
Two was more than one according to my math.
All right, so are we
yeah,
going with
math.
Night Strangers then?
Night.
All right, and then let's read Lincoln in the Bardo in November or something.
There you go.
All right, all right.
Okay. Good.
At least that way, we're in it together.
There you
Yeah.
go.
But
What you think of this side of paradise?
unless in November, oh God, I only read 2 chapters. I gave up. I decided
Did
life is too short
Too
for
short?
garbage.
Did anybody complete it?
Nope.
I got about 70% through.
Did you?
Really?
But here's my asterisk on it. My asterisk is because it's so old.
Mhm.
I had to travel. I did the Audible, but there's
Wow.
about 40 different Audible versions.
Yeah.
So it's not, so they don't control it. It's just anybody that wants to do it can do it. And the one that I listened to was absolutely horrible. I mean,
Which one was
some people that do these narrations are incredible. This was like somebody reading a shopping list. So
Oh.
it was beyond. I was trying to ignore it, but the narration was so bad, and that even made it even worse.
I downloaded it and I started to read it and I went, this isn't happening, not at all. And so I did go to the audio version. And it was a struggle. It was all over the place. I didn't like the guy. There was so much I didn't like. I wasn't thrilled with the guy who narrated mine. And I actually got to the very end and I went, I have no idea what I was actually listening to. So I actually listened to it a second time.
You did?
I did. So I think I get a medal for that.
I think so.
But even at the end of that, I understood it a little bit more. I think it's one of those, you have to read it, you have to do it again and again, but it's not meant to be read. It was terrible, I thought.
But when my mom, she started reading it and she messaged me and said, she's like, I know these words and I know that they're in English, but when you string them together, they just don't make any sense. And I'm like,
stereo.
I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, it's proof of my theory that drunks don't write well.
See, I could argue with you forever on this because you hate Hemingway.
I
and
hate Hemingway.
That's a
Yeah,
flaw of
Hemingway.
yours. That's a
Well,
flaw of
Hemingway
yours
said
I'm willing
write
to go
write
over.
drunk and edit sober, but clearly he never got around to the sober editing part.
Oh, okay. She's tough.
Yeah, she
Hate
is.
it.
Yeah.
And
It's-
but it
it's a
just
serious-
you could tell,
it's a
but
serious balance
you could
flaw.
tell. No, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that Fitzgerald was hammered when he wrote this, and clearly it just shows you how much easier it was to get published back then. Because
But you know what was
Clearly nobody
interesting
cared.
was in The Great Gatsby, which I know you also hated. In The Great Gatsby, there was that scene where he did get drunk, but he wrote it like he was drunk.
he was
And that was
drunk.
incredible because there was that and then he went back to normal again, and that was phenomenal because he was writing this like he was drunk, and it was great. This thing was just like an encyclopedia. I mean, it was
Yeah.
just horrible.
Yeah, of poetry from
Yes.
100
Yeah, I
years
was
ago.
I didn't
Of
finish it, but I was
horrible people.
I'm thumbing
Yeah,
through
right.
it, and then like it turns into a play toward the end.
Yeah,
What the
yeah.
hell is going on
I
here?
gotta say, I think the play was the best part about it.
I didn't read that part, but
It's actually a pretty good play, you know. It's pretty cleverly done. But
There
this
was-
armory, man,
There was
all of
one
them were
part- there was
so
one point when there was a
superficial and
dialogue.
tepid people.
Oh, sorry. There was a dialogue going on, and it was just like, and she said, and then he said, and then she. It was pages and pages of that, and I just thought, I can't. What am I missing? And as far as the poetry is concerned, I said I'm not a poetry person.
Yeah, why would you want to read that?
So I'm thinking maybe that's a prejudice and I just have to overlook. Maybe it's good. I don't think so.
They're all alike. All these guys, they're all alike.
Exactly
They're all
alike.
that's everybody seems to say the same thing.
superficial and spoiled and
Right.
But they all talk like truckers from the 1920s. Like they don't sound like educated, high class people, which supposedly they are. They all sound like, you know, the guy you'd find hanging out on the stoop. You know what I mean? Like they all sound very, you know, vagabond hopping onto the train to ride the rails. They don't sound like they're supposed to be. This is, you know, these are supposed to be rich people. Why do they all sound like they're, you know, they got one of those things, the bundle on a stick. You know, that's how they said. They just
nothing of significance happens. Nothing real
Absolutely.
happens. It's just a bunch of college kids.
I thought that was the worst part of the book, the Princeton years. I thought it was terrible.
at least you guys made it through. I this is where
I didn't make it all the way through.
This is as far as I got. The skinny
Wow.
part. I finally said, you know what? I give up. I can't read this.
But you know what? When you're in the car going back and forth someplace, it kept me occupied. That's the only reason why I got through it. And I got through it twice. At that.
I can't believe you went through it twice. Yeah.
I'm just looking through it again, and these poems suddenly just stuck in there. They're awful. They're just totally awful.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the length of this
And-
one. This is one poem.
Yeah, that's
Like,
exactly.
what is going on there? I didn't even read it, but nothing is good that randomly in a novel, when you stick that in, that can't be good.
And you know, at first I thought it was just the time thing. You know, I mean, it was written 100 years ago. Maybe that was it. But I just reread Treasure Island not too long ago, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah, no.
I mean, that book had characters, and the plot was so strong, and you could tell who was who by who was talking, and it just drew you in. Yeah, this was just like an encyclopedia.
like cotton. There's nothing there. There's like
There's
cotton
nothing.
candy. There's nothing left in your mouth afterwards.
It's generic
substance.
characters that I don't care about.
Yeah, no, the people. No, I mean, at least with Hemingway, I mean, the man he was in the war, right? I mean, so he writes some pretty powerful stuff. What did I just read recently? A Call to Arms. Oh my God,
Yeah.
it's just so brutal, and it's just, I mean, you leave it, you're so depressed and like downcast, but you feel like at least these people are, you feel for them.
Well, and as much as I'm going to do this because it'll make Tara cringe, but Hemingway he was a master at having you at this moment of time, and then me telling you about that moment of time, and you're at both, the readers at both places at the same time. I think it was Death in the Afternoon. He's talking, they're at the dinner, and they're also at the bullfight at the same, as the guy's telling the story of the bullfight. You were there at the dinner, and you're also, 3 hours before this at the bullfight without missing a beat. I mean, he was incredible.
He really was incredible.
He was amazing. Don't you agree, Tara?
I hate him. Think everything. I haven't read all of his stuff, but I've read Farewell to Arms, Sun Also Rises, Death in the Afternoon, Old Man in the Sea.
Well, most of those, look, Hemingway could write crap too. Green Fields of Africa's garbage.
And I hated all
Island
of them.
in the Streams. Island in the Streams was when he was getting electroshock therapy at the Mayo Clinic. His brain was cottage cheese by then. But some of and a lot of those are not that great. But some of them are incredible. His short stories are amazing.
How I feel about short stories.
So just going back to my, I went off it. The narrator of the book that I read, of the book that I listened to.
Is he an English guy?
No, it was
Okay.
it was, God Almighty. He had a long, a lot of consonants in his name, and he had a little bit of an accent, and so that was annoying. And so it was the same voice. So he would be, talking in the first person as what's his name? What's the character's name? I forget. But he would have the he would use he was the same voice using one of the girlfriends or the mother, and I'm like, no, that doesn't work like that. So you can't just change the pitch in your voice and then it's the mother.
This is my guy.
Cecilia. Yes, aren't you? Said Rosalind. You're glad so you can get married and live on Long Island with the fast, younger married set.
He was horrible.
Cecilia,
Faking an English accent?
You want life to be a chain of flirtation with a man.
Why is he
linked.
is he actually
he
English,
horrible?
or is he faking the English accent? And if he's faking it, why? When they're
I
Americans?
had no idea. That was the whole thing. And I got through 70% of it with that guy. Yeah.
Oh
It was
God.
like
Surprised you didn't fall asleep.
knitting needles through your ears.
That would drive me nuts.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So
You
why
know
was
what's
it?
funny is after each one of these meetings, I feel like a horrible person because all we do is bash books.
Well, at least this author is dead. There's nothing, he's not
Okay,
he's
good.
not
I
going to
feel-
get
I said
upset
we feel better.
at us on, he's not going to be
I feel
on,
better.
Twitter freaking out that this book club bashed him,
Why is this book so famous, do you think?
It's not.
Isn't it his
It's only
first?
famous because it was his first novel, and it's
Yeah.
because
Oh, it's his
and
first
Zelda,
novel?
who clearly
I
was
didn't know
also a drunk,
Yeah.
agreed to marry him because he got published. That's the only reason it's famous, because clearly
Probably.
it's not because it's good. One of these days I'm gonna like a book.
Oh, come on. Name us one book you've liked. You got to have liked some book. All the books you've published, obviously.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. The first one kind of sucked. Yeah.
I like stuff, but I find that it's rare that I love anything anymore, and I feel like I feel like editing is ruining me for that, because it's like, I'm so focused on trying to find the faults with everything that I can't, and I'm finding like, even when I enjoy a book, I'm going on Goodreads, like, to make my rating, and I'm looking at their system, and it's like, one is I hated it or I didn't like it. They don't allow you to say you hated it. That upsets me. But I think one is I did not like it. Two is it was okay. Three is I liked it. 4 is I really liked it, and 5 is I loved it. And I'm going, that's not how it is. You know what I mean? So I end up giving a lot of books 2 stars that probably in a more realistic system I would give 3 stars. But because if, I'm not allowed to say I hated them. But I don't hate them that often. This would get 0 stars if I could give it 0 stars. But
Yeah. What about like I usually, because my time is kind of precious, so I usually go to the New York Times, or I usually go to bestsellers or Pulitzer Prizes. I like to start there and sort of work my way down. So I did read the Nickel Boys, and actually Colson Whitehead got the Pulitzer 2 years in a row for that, or maybe not 2 years, maybe a couple of years.
The Nickel Boys?
The Underground Railroad, that was in 2017.
Oh.
Yeah, and he's the book, the Nickel Boys, was a little gut wrenching.
so far behind the times in my reading, though.
Yeah, that's I didn't have to read in school so much. That wasn't because I was in a business curriculum, so reading wasn't part of that curriculum. So, but I just started reading for fun. Actually, one of my first reads was Helter Skelter.
Yeah.
That was one of my first, and I went, if this is what reading is about, like this was fun. So
we should read that if we want it scary for us.
Yeah.
Skelter's great. Yeah.
So now I sort of, I don't have a whole lot of time to read, so I just want to read what's best out there. So that's why I was hoping that this one that we read was good, because I haven't read a lot of classics. So
Well, and you know what's funny is when before we even met, there was a guy that I was meeting with on Sundays, and he was getting me ready I was considering going to get my MBA, and he was working with me on Sunday. Great guy, we became friends, and he went to Cornell, and this was his all-time favorite book. And he would talk about this book all the time. But now that I've read it, I think it was because he went to Cornell during the end of that golden time, and it probably reminded him of that. But he raved about this book. Raved about it.
this book?
Yes. And what's funny is the things that he said, I don't remember in this book. He was talking about these big stairways that were with thousands of feet, that people that have tread over them, that they were bowed, these mahogany stairways. I don't remember any of that.
He was talking about a different book and got the title wrong.
Maybe he did. Yeah.
It happens.
Was this ever a movie? This book? No.
Don't know.
The beginning was particularly boring.
Oh God. I knew very early on this wasn't going to work for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess there's not a lot to talk about then if nobody read it. You all hated it so much, you only got 20 pages in.
I did it twice.
Did anybody ever read Cloud Street by Tim Winton? That's a great book. I read that several years ago. It's by an Australian author, Tim Winton. Cloud Street. That's a very good book. One of the best I've read.
Keep a list so that if we hate, I think I'll like Night Strangers because I remember liking it when I read it years ago. But if as a consensus we don't like it next month, I think what we need to do is just have one person pick each month. At least that way, at least one. Then we know one person likes it.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Clearly, we're not doing a good job voting.
What about The Goldfinch? Has anyone ever read that?
I read it a few years ago. I don't remember it very well, but I don't remember books for very long after I've read them.
Yeah.
I liked it. I didn't love it, but I liked it.
I loved it. I really did. I loved it.
But watch
She
it.
can't
It's
tell you
on
the
Amazon Prime.
titles after
What?
she's read them. She can't tell you the last 3 titles. She inhales them and then totally forgets them.
Yeah, that's what I do. Yeah. That's why it's hard for me to even, like, that's why I try to wait till like 2 weeks at the most before book club to read the book, because otherwise it's gone, you know? So this was nice because at least I didn't, I gave up.
Yeah. When I went through it the second time, it was things I was just like, I didn't hear that the first time. I was tuning out a lot. You can imagine.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny is there are many. I do a lot of audiobooks myself, and I listen to them all the time. And there are some that I am on the 5th and 6th and 7th time because they're so good.
Oh,
And you
Like what?
still enjoy it at each time. It's just, you just go back and it's just as enjoyable every time.
oh wow.
So they do exist. I mean, they are out there. There's some phenomenal books out there. I just can't find the giant pot where all of them are, because you have to read like 6 horrible ones to get one good one.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorites?
I think Angela's Ashes is probably one of the top. You know what? I wrote an article not too long ago about my top favorite.
Oh, there you
books.
go.
Hold on. I know The Road, or On the Road is one of my all-time favorites. Jack Kerouac. Oh, you probably did. She hate that too? You hated that too?
Hey,
What is wrong with you?
I don't
You
like
hated On the Road?
stupid books. I don't like books written by drunk people who are obviously didn't bother going back to
Drunk
edit.
people are the best writers out there.
No, they're not.
What's
I've
wrong with
written
you?
drunk and I've written sober, and I'll tell you that when you're drunk, that first line is good. Unfortunately, it's also the second line, third line, fourth line, fifth line, because you're too drunk to realize you're repeating yourself. And
No,
that's Hemingway
wrong.
for you. That's Fitzgerald. This is a drunk person who doesn't realize they are not saying anything. Except, well, Kerouac, I don't think it was just drinking.
Yeah,
One of my
serious.
One of my favorites, Jim, is a John Irving. It's a big book. Until I Find You.
Yeah, I read that.
Oh.
I liked that. I like John Irving.
I love that. That's one that I've read multiple times. 11/22/63 is one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, you mentioned that once before.
I'm sorry?
You had mentioned that once before, and it wasn't until after our meetup that I realized the date. So
yeah, that's phenomenal. There's a couple of nonfictions on here. There's one called Devil in the White City.
oh,
by
a
Eric
great
Larson.
book.
Have you read that?
I love that.
I read his other ones too, but they weren't as good. Devil in the
Not
White
as
City
good.
is
No,
phenomenal.
That was an
Yeah.
excellent book. Yeah, and
Oh,
I've
it's
so
amazing.
good.
many people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read the other two, but they're just not. Now here's one you're gonna. Jerry
Not
Stahl.
the
I
Ready
think.
Player One.
Ready Player One is on that list.
I know.
Ready Player One is definitely on that
And I
list.
hate it.
Permanent Midnight by Jerry Stahl, but this guy was stoned during the entire time, not drunk. But that is a powerful book. I love that. And On the Road is my all-time favorite. On the Road with Jack Kerouac. Actually, Into the Wild is on that list too. Did you guys read Into the Wild?
Yeah.
I saw the
Into the Wild
movie.
was really good. And number one, Angela's Ashes.
Wow,
Angela's Ashes is phenomenal.
that is.
Was that his only book?
No, he wrote actually that's his only good book. He wrote the second one after that called Tis. And then he wrote one later called Teacher Man.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have. What's funny is when he was writing Tis, they said, what are people going to say about this? And he goes, I'll tell you exactly what they're going to say. They're going to say it lacked the magic of the first book, and that's exactly what they said.
Well, you can't recreate that book. I mean, it's like that childhood. It was just like so horrifying, you know, that
well,
anything
he tries
else
to take
was
it
gonna,
in. Yeah.
Yeah.
In Tis, he tries to take it from, because it stops when he's 18 and it goes on, but it's just clunky. It just doesn't work.
I remember years ago when I picked up a book. It was this kind of a 50-year, 60-year sequel to Gone with the Wind. I think it was called, oh gosh,
With Scarlet or something.
Scarlet something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when that came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You really can't. And actually, I avoided Gone with the Wind most of my life, did not read it until I was in my 30s. Only because when I would watch the movie, I'm like, oh, what a spoiled little girl. I can't stand her. But it wasn't until I read the book that I went, oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, I get it.
That's one of my, I've probably read Gone with the Wind 10 or 15 times.
Wow.
But I haven't read it since high school, so that tells you something. Like, I started reading it in around 6th grade, so I read it 10 or 15 times between 6th grade and like college. So that's, yeah. I don't have the time for it now. That's just too long. But
I really enjoyed. I just finished this Elizabeth Strout, the Olive Kitteridge.
Oh,
read all. Well, then read the next one too. Read all. She just had a sequel. Yeah.
Read all of them. Yeah.
I have a signed copy of Olive again.
I've read all of them.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that from?
And I was in a bookstore in down in someplace down in South Jersey, some little bumble town, and I was walking around with a friend, and there's this little tiny independent bookstore, and we went in, and they had, and apparently she had been there that weekend, and so I was like, yeah. And so I just, so I bought my copy. Back in like January, I got it.
She develops characters, and you get to she's one of my favorite.
It's remarkable.
Yeah.
Her and Alice
I
Munro.
like something. See, I do like something.
Yeah, I thought you liked her.
I like her. I like Chris Bajalian. You never read Midwives?
Yeah.
Yeah, Midwives. I mean, that's one of the few books in the world where I literally gasped at the end. I went because I so didn't see the ending coming. I have a signed copy of that too. Let me see.
Wow.
Yeah, see?
He's connected.
No, I actually met him at a writers conference. See,
Wow.
see it.
What does it say? It's hard to
It
read.
says, to Tara, may happiness follow you wherever you read and write. All the best, Chris Bojalian.
Huh.
Very
Well,
cool.
what year was that?
2005. November
cool.
5th, 2005. It's dated.
That's very cool.
Yeah, I was at a writers conference and he signed my book. But yeah, he's one of my favorites. Although nothing has equaled Midwives. I mean,
So who are your favorite classic writers? Like of the 1800s or 1900s?
She's a big Hemingway fan.
There you go.
oh God. I mean, I don't know. I like Henry James. I mean, he's a little long-winded, but I like him well enough. But the problem is that I feel like not much stands up. You know what I mean? Like not many of the classics are still that good today. I mean, Jane Austen, yeah, but I'm not one of these women who's like, oh my God, Jane Austen. You know what I mean? Like, it's good enough. I don't know. I can't even think of anything. I'm trying to look at myself. I just cleared out my shelves recently, and I mostly have cookbooks here right now, and Italian dictionaries and Mandarin dictionaries. Yeah.
Have you, Tara? Have you ever handed something back and said, "This isn't going to work"? To someone
From one of my writers?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't mean to, but like this one guy, I had signed him up to do a book in 2015, and I told him like it needs some work, and I went through and it took me a long time to do the edits, and I sent it back to him and said, okay, here you go. And basically I have never heard from him again.
Oh.
So I didn't tell him that I wasn't canceling it, but clearly he didn't think either, you know, he didn't want to do the work, or he figured this was my way of telling him it's not happening. But not in since I've been working here. Yes, I have in my old jobs, like back, but it wasn't usually my decision back then. Now that it's my decision, we've had things that haven't happened, but I've never actually had to come out and tell somebody it's not going to work. But I've had people like that one guy, you remember that one guy with the book, that he wouldn't write the one sentence to fix the plot hole.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he canceled his own contract because he didn't want to write one sentence to revise it was nuts. I mean, yeah, it was crazy. One sentence would have done it. And he's like, no, I don't want to make any changes.
Wow.
And that was 2015 or 2016. And every now and then I go on Amazon to check to see if he got it published or if he published it himself. Nope. So this guy is still not published because he didn't want to write one sentence. I mean, I can't fathom. And it wasn't like he was a 25-year-old kid who was like, yeah, I'll, screw you, I'll find my own way. This was a guy like in his 60s who had never been published before. You'd think that he'd be like, oh, let me take my one sentence. And it wasn't like I was asking him to, do a whole lot. But I don't know. I'll never understand people. No. So what else is going? What else is? I feel like
So what book did we pick for next month then?
Night Strangers.
Night Strangers.
That's right. So you're gonna post that then?
Oh yeah, I'll post it. Yeah, I'll post it, and I'll pick a date. I guess what is today? I'm trying to see.
Today's the 17th, I think.
17th. Yeah. I just started reading something called The Vanishing Half.
What's it about? Is it a novel?
It's a novel set in the 1950s in the South about it's set in the South, but the town was founded by these The Vanishing Half is about two identical twin girls that live in the South. Their grandfather founded this town, and there were going back into slavery, there was the grandfather or the great-great-grandfather had a Caucasian father. And so as the descendants went, they got lighter and lighter and lighter. And so they made the town that they live in, they call themselves Black, but they're literally white. They're all very light-skinned, very, very light-skinned. So so that at one point the teenage girls leave the town, and they go, and they're very, very close, and they go together off to New Orleans. But then what happens is that the one sister decides to go off on her own all the way to California, and this other one stays and gets married, and eventually she comes back to the town. The town, it's called Mallard, named after the duck. And so far so good. It's a little, it's one of these books where, you're reading a paragraph and you're like, wait a minute, where did this come from? What are they just talking about, So, yeah, so, you flip back, and it's so far so good.
Anybody else reading anything interesting?
The light reading.
I need like something light. Like I've been reading, my librarian, all the librarians at my library love Tom Perrotta. So I've been reading his books, what they have. And they're I feel like they're okay, but they're good, not great. I feel like it's, I mean, I don't dislike them, but I don't like them either. And I don't know if it's just, maybe it's just me, but I don't know. Is everybody frozen, or are you just quiet?
Who was that you were talking about? Which author?
Tom Perrotta.
Tara?
Tom Perrotta.
Oh.
He wrote Election and Little Children are the ones they've made movies out of, so they're probably his most famous. But yeah, I don't know. I just can't. I don't. It's like, I find they're like, okay, they're. Yeah, I haven't been finding anything I love.
You know what's a great one, but it's a nonfiction, but I think it's as good as, it's one of my favorite nonfictions, almost as good as The Devil in the White City. It's called The Worst Hard Time.
No.
You ever heard of that one? It's going to sound boring because it's about the Dust Bowl, but it actually gets into these people's lives and takes it on, and it's just phenomenal. Because you think about the Dust Bowl and you think about, these poor people. You don't realize these people were actually eating like the grease from the windmills. They were eating, the thistles outside. They were pickling them because pretty soon there's not even going to be thistles out there. I mean, it's real, but it's done. It's a nonfiction, but it's done in a narrative form, and it is probably my second or third favorite nonfiction book. Powerful. I think The Devil in the White City is better. I think The Devil in the White City is written better.
That was just crazy good.
I think The Worst Hard Time is better.
We know what
It was just so that how it juxtaposed both stories was just phenomenal.
I was thinking we should all share our favorite books from our lives, just with each other. I'd love to get some of those books from you, Everett, and you, Tara, and
Sure.
Mo, and just I could share some of mine. I was just writing some of them down and see what you guys think, because I love exploring and discovering a new writer or a new book.
Yeah.
Has anybody read Radium Girls?
A couple of years when
The answer is no, but I'm trying to remember why. There was a reason I didn't. And I think I was at a book signing when she was there.
Oh, really? I bought it,
and I think
I've been dying to read it, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. So
I remember I was in Buffalo and I was at a bookstore and she just happened to be there. And I thought she was the most pompous human being I've ever met in my life. Yeah. And I picked up the book and I waited and I said, I'm not gonna read this. Yeah.
It's supposed. I mean, I.
But it's interesting because it's the story because they did the radium dials, right? And
they were making like the watches, the glow in the dark watches. And
right.
We had done an article about it at my last job, and the author of the article had cited the book a couple times, and I was like, yeah, it's really interesting. So I bought the book, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. So
I think they made a play about it, or not a film. I think they did a play about it.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I'm trying to get around to it, but I have a lot to read, obviously.
I think the same author did one on when they would build those towns in the 50s for nuclear testing. They would actually build the towns. They'd build like these fake towns and they put cars. I think she wrote a book about that. I think that was the book that came out after that. I can't remember.
On the book. Oh.
Have you written any new books?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm working on one. I just finished another screenplay that we're trying to sell.
Oh.
So we're working on that. And then we got a platform project that's taking up a lot of our time. We're doing a bunch of these short video, like whiteboard videos. So we're getting ready to launch that in the next month or so.
Very cool.
What about you?
Well, right now I'm just on the last page of my edits of a book, upcoming book with from Tara's edits. So Tara, I'll be getting that back
feeling, huh?
Days.
Oh
yeah. Okay, she's a tough editor.
I tell you what, I say this all the time, and I say it to her. When she would go through and she would find like continuity, I would get giddy because I'm going, holy cow, I didn't even catch that. I said it was a Tuesday, but it was a Wednesday. I get so excited because you can actually make it better.
Well, Sarah, your edits have really opened the book up in terms of, like adding scenes and so forth. Made a big difference.
But hopefully that's good, but
It is good.
okay, good. Because not everybody appreciates that,
You gotta, hey, if you want to be a writer, you gotta keep
Well,
an
that's the
open
thing.
mind.
I think some people take a lot of offense to it, but it's like, I'm not telling you this because I feel like criticizing. I'm telling you this because I feel like I want to take your good book and make it great.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be, if we can make it awesome, why not? So yeah, I think too many people are just satisfied with good enough. That's the thing, and I want it to be really good if I can get it there.
Absolutely.
Well, I think a lot of people are caught up in the act of the prize is to be published. Doesn't matter as long as you get published. So I can say I'm published, and there's that time thing. The faster I get published, then the faster I'm a writer, and that's sad.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be just about that. It needs to be about the whole. If you're not into I didn't tell you the writing book went to the printer yesterday.
I was going to ask you, where's it?
Yeah. Woo, woo. Yeah,
Very cool.
Yeah, I just spent well over $1,000 for a teeny tiny print run. But yeah, it went to the printer yesterday, so probably another 2 weeks we'll have the first copies. But yeah, that whole thing is you keep saying over and over again in there, if you're not into this process, you're not a writer. That's what it is. If you're reading this in any part of this horrifying process, which is, you have to read a lot, you have to write a lot, you have to edit a lot, you have to suffer through rejection. If all of that does not appeal to you, get out of the game. It's not for you, and make room for some people who are ready for it, because it sucks. But if that's what you're into, then, you're willing, I don't know. I think that people just think it's going to be easy, think it should be easy, and it's not. Oh, I didn't show you. Look at, my boss made me get these blue light blocking.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You look like a publisher.
Right?
Really?
Yeah.
I wear glasses at night normally anyway, but these are like bigger, nerdier glasses.
Yeah.
And but they're supposed to block the blue light from the screen. But I find that they distract me when I'm on Zoom because I can see the blue.
Right.
Yeah, you can.
And it's really distracting. So I don't know where I am. I wear them when I'm doing like edits or something, but it's too distracting on here.
How's your book? How's your job going?
It's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I'm really happy so far. Knock on wood. Yeah, so far so good. Everybody.
Did you say there were 1,000 people that applied for it?
Supposedly.
Did you tell me that they had like 1,000 people?
Yeah, they said that they had 1,000 resumes.
I mean, that says a lot about you. 1,000 resumes, and they took you. Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Right.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
Well, it shows you how crappy, how many people were unemployed, maybe. But supposedly, it's we're doing well now. That the job numbers are going back up. But but it's I can't complain. But supposedly I think they said 1,000 people, 1,000 resumes, and like 100 people interviewed or something like that.
Wow, that's incredible.
But supposedly the top 5 people or whatever were really good. So I really want us to do a good job so that they don't boot me aside for one.
Yeah.
Number 2.
I don't want them thinking, number 2 might be better. Because so far I'm really enjoying it. So.
When I worked at IBM, there was a policy where you couldn't fire anyone on IBM property. So the running gag was your boss would come up and go, "Want to go to lunch?" No, I don't want to go to lunch. No, I'm staying right here. It was just like this running gag.
Why though? I mean,
that was just the thing. If you were to fire somebody, you had to get them off IBM.
They went postal.
They were afraid of them going crazy, or
Scary.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So I just never left the building for 2 years, and that's how I kept my job.
How's your job?
I was
My
in
job?
purchasing. Yeah, yeah, but it was crazy.
See, I work for a bank over in Manhattan, and so what we do is bring people up to the conference center. If you get a call from your manager that says,
Oh, really?
can you meet us? Can you meet me on the 10th floor and bring your coat? No. You're not told to bring your coat. You're just told to come yourself. They send somebody back down to your desk to get your coat, get your stuff, and then you're on your merry way. Yeah.
Wow.
Really?
Oh, it's brutal. Ugh. Yeah. Yep.
You know, that would actually be an interesting book if somebody were to go out and collect 10,000 stories of how people were fired.
Yeah.
That would be a
fun.
phenomenal
Let's
book.
do that.
You can have,
Because I guarantee you there's some great stories.
there's a website.
We call it You're Fired.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here with my company and grieving grievous ex-employees. Yeah, a lot. We've probably let go in the last 5 years at least 10,000, at least.
Whoa.
And then we hire people back. You know, we
Yeah.
kind of cry poverty all the time, but we just hired a guy from Goldman Sachs that was making 10 million over there. So, you know, what do you make?
I mean, if you flip coupons, you can live on it.
And
But
you hire
I couldn't.
staff, you know, you hire the workers, whatever, you know. But that would be a good book.
That would be a great book.
Yeah. There you go.
I'm putting out a call for submissions for that.
Yes. I mean, because you got to get some good stories, though, too. I mean, you got to get some.
Yeah. But I bet there are tons, and and I bet people are really eager to tell them.
You know, I worked for a manufacturer's rep years ago, and they had this huge, twice a year, you'd have to go to Atlanta or Vegas or whatever and present. And they went to wherever it was, and my boss was sitting there, and he walked up to the guy and he goes, "Hey, I know everybody here, but I don't know who you are." And he goes, "Oh, we're the new rep for Pennsylvania." And my boss said, "We're the rep for Pennsylvania." They just never told them.
Oh,
They just never told them.
Oh,
Just,
unbelievable.
oh wow.
Yeah. So that'll be the intro of the book.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how many copies are you printing, Sarah, of the new writer book?
I'm only printing 200 for now. Usually we only print 100, so I doubled it, but I just don't. I give me a couple of months at the new job to make some, you know what I mean? I've only had one paycheck, so like I don't want to put all of it in, what little money I have left. So originally I was going to print like 500, but that was back when I had my previous job and didn't spend 5 months on, completely unemployed with, all my money flying away. So so I had to adjust down a little bit, but if we need to, we'll reprint. But
How much you gonna sell it for, and how you gonna market it?
It doesn't really even at this point. We're going to give it away to anybody who signs up for the webinar.
I see.
So we're not really going to release it until early next year.
I see.
But anybody who signs up for the webinar gets a free copy. So the marketing, we're going to have to that's something we have to figure out over the next 6 months.
Okay.
And I think you talked about this before, having everyone that contributed sign up to a few copies. That would be a really cool collector's piece.
I think that would be good. We'll have to, if they ever let us meet again in real life,
that would be fun.
That would be nice.
That would be
and
nice.
we can actually do a signing party, but it's not looking good at this point. I don't know.
Next year it'll be better.
Let's hope.
Well,
All right,
we
well,
haven't found a book that changed our lives, but this is still a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to at least chat and,
It is.
it's,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah. I had gathered, like, I've been working from home since March. So, I haven't, the people you sit up against day after day and share your life with, 9, 10 hours out of the day, we haven't seen that. We haven't had that. I had one of my
Right.
people call me today in tears,
Mm.
feeling depressed. So I had scheduled a 5 o'clock, 6 month anniversary. So we agreed that we're going to get together someplace over in Jersey, and we're all going to get together. It's sort of not central for everyone, but it's not too far. And it's, we were on for an hour and a half
Yeah.
talking. It was a little work, a little personal, and what we just needed.
Yeah.
We needed that. So, yeah.
The highlight of my day is when Steve the mailman comes here. So Steve the mailman are out in the stoop, and Steve the mailman has it set when he gets to my house. He hits his timer because he has a 22-minute break. So he takes his 22-minute break on my stoop. So we're just going to, and he goes, "Oh, I gotta go," and then he'll leave.
Does he come the same time every day?
Well, it's a little different depending on what route he has, but because there's like an hour, there's an hour gap where I know that Steve the mailman's going to be there.
Oh, okay. Funny.
He's my only outside connection right now.
Gosh. Good.
Weird times.
it's really crazy.
Very weird time. What a weird year this has been.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think aliens and volcanoes are the only things that haven't really hit.
Yeah.
Don't say volcanoes. Come on,
Yeah, volcanoes.
You just
Volcanoes are up
jinxed,
there. Locusts.
somebody.
Anything locusts.
I think New Jersey had a UFO sighting in the beginning of the week.
Mm.
We had an earthquake a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So volcanoes are next.
Okay.
You guys have a good night then.
All right.
All right.
I'll
So
post
it's fun.
I'll post the book in the next meeting. Do you want, I think, let me see, October, is the 15th, which is 4 weeks from today, good, or would you rather wait till the 22nd and give us ourselves an extra week? It's up to you.
Let's do the 22nd.
All right.
That works.
Just think, that way, just give us a little more
Time to
time.
get the book and read it. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. I'll post it tomorrow morning, probably. I gotta shut down the blue light. It makes me crazy.
Yeah.
Bye.
have a good night, everybody.
Good
Good seeing
night.
you.
All right.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.